Hey everybody, are we are we here? Is this working? Man, the trailer's starting to look kind of old compared to the way that the game looks. I need a new trailer. I think I'm using the wrong trailer anyway. How's everybody doing? Like before, I put the FAQ link to the FAQ here. Can everybody hear me? Are we? I never quite know if. Yeah. Um. The I put a link to the FAQ on the. Well, okay, somebody said the trailer is the wrong version. Oh, because of the end. Like we really only have one trailer at this point. Audio is popping. Ew. Let me try to fix that. I'm gonna let you watch the trailer again while I change mic settings. Actually, I'm not actually able to do that. Let me see if I can. How about that? Are we still popping now? Bit of static to the audio. Popping. I think there's like a 30-second delay between what I'm seeing and. Sorry about this. Every time I do this, there's something a little bit different about it. Are we still audio better now? Much better. Cool, cool. Okay. So this is our Q&A session. So I'll show you a little bit of the game and let you guys ask questions because usually in the other streams I'm kind of busy working. So, and again, we have the FAQ posted there, which has the answers to a lot of the really common questions. But haven't been doing streams as much just because the stuff we've been working on hasn't been as visible. The big, let me go into the game here and let's at least fly around in the game while we do this. The big thing that came in this week was saving and loading. So I think when I come into this game, my world is going to be a little bit, hopefully preserved changes from where I was before. Yeah, definitely preserved where I was sitting from the time before. But saving and loading is in. So lasers too, but I can get to the lasers. I've been doing lots of streams on the lasers. So the big deal about saving and loading here is that we can do the thing that we've been wanting to do for a while, is release a alpha of the game to early testers and streamers. So this would be a very, very small group of people that what we're looking for is streamers that have like a significant following that want to do content on the game. So if you're one of those things, I'd love to hear from you. We would love to have give a very, very early of the game, early copy of the game to streamers to poke around in it and give us feedback, and then also do videos on it to show off our features to other people. So if you have a game channel, or you know somebody, or you are, you have like a, you can shout out to a fan of a game channel that wants to do CastleMiner Z streams, then we would. Well, we're trying to work this out. I think that this is not the beta. I think that we will only have probably maybe 5 or 10 people total doing this sort of alpha testing for us. But saving and loading is in, which is super cool. Again, it says to me like poking around in the caves here. So the other big thing that went in is the lasers. I could do them down here, I guess. Is the they're not completely done yet, but there's a cool. They heat up the blocks, and then the blocks will explode, and these like hot chunks fall out that eventually cool down. So still working on that, but this is the and the laser bolts are coming there. Will you expand on the laser weapons? Hence, all the many games have crazier laser guns. Yeah, I want to do more with the laser guns. I think they were kind of poorly put in before. Like, there wasn't enough attention to them, so I'm trying to make this cool. So right now, the laser guns actually heat up the blocks based on the power of the lasers, and if the laser is strong enough, they'll blow the blocks out. Which balances them a little bit, because I always felt like the lasers were a little bit overpowered. And then we have to make sure that when you shoot enough lasers, it crashes the game. That is our second biggest priority. You know, just for the sake of... So this was fun. We did a bunch of streams where we adjusted the hit effects and the particle effects on these. Let me... I could just punch up to the surface here. We can shoot some lasers at the stuff above us. So everything's coming together. The saving is a really big deal. Like, getting that working is one of the major milestones to the networking, which is our other big thing. Like I said, there's a bunch of really silent features that are big that we have to get to the game running. Somebody's asking here if will the laser guns still have a color change depending on the ore you use? Yes, my plan is to continue to do that, but also have the ores give different power to the lasers, like make some of the lasers stronger than the others, because now we have a way of adjusting these over a spectrum. Somebody's asking if the wish list numbers are meeting expectations. I don't know. I don't have expectations. I don't know. They're good. Like, it's the wish list numbers are good. I don't know what to expect, and I don't know what to lot and what isn't. And I feel like maybe after the Kickstarter, that stuff will take off. But they're consistently growing. So I appreciate everybody who signed up for the wish list. So yeah, I feel like that came together good. Somebody's saying the lighting is awesome. What would be the recommendation for requirements on the game? Right now, the reason we chose Unreal Engine was for real-time ray tracing, RTX. So all of the kind of graphical stuff that we're doing has to kind of revolves around real-time ray tracing. I don't exactly know what the minimum spec is for that. Honestly, I'm sure there is. Unreal Engine has a set of fallbacks for things, but there would be a significant. Like, I don't exactly know. We're relying on the lighting from real-time ray tracing a lot, so I actually don't know what the game would look like without it. It would definitely play. I just don't know what the game would look like without it. Oh, the other big thing that went in over the weekend is that we switched to DLSS anti-aliasing. Versus the TSR that we were TSA TSR that we were using before. What you're seeing right here is using DLSS ray tracing. Figure out I had a okay, which is NVIDIA's like brand new anti-aliasing. It adds on newer cards, supposedly, especially the 5.0 cards, the 50 series cards, which I don't have. I'm running a 4060 right now. It increases fidelity and frame rate at the same time, which is kind of cool. Okay. Are you looking for voxel submissions yet? Yes, we are. There is a on the Discord channel. I have this closed right now. The Discord channel for that the community has. There's a bunch of call outs for things to be made with voxels. We have a web submission form for them, which I got to pull up here. Let me get these for you. Here's the community server link. And here, and on that server, there is a voxel submission form. We got this system. So we're actually seeing and reviewing the voxel submissions right now. Actually having a hard time finding this right now. It's interesting. Yeah, I'm not able to find it right now. I'm sure if you follow the link, somebody in the community there will help you with the voxel submissions. Where is the voxel? I should at least have that form, though. And I'm like way unprepared. I don't have any of those links available. I actually kind of want to figure this out. There used to be here we go. There was a web stream we did specifically on this. And now, God, I can't find the link. This is, hold on one second. This is kind of important. I'm gonna throw you back to the trailer for a second. Okay, here, I found the link. Here we go. This is the, I'll pin it. This is the link to submit voxel creations to us. And on the community Discord server, there was an area where we were asking for these, but I'm having trouble finding it right now, which I don't, if anybody's on the, comes from the Discord server, if you could explain to me why I can't find the contribute area anymore. Okay. I see there's somebody's pointing out somebody in the stream here that would like to stream the game. Cool. I think trying to figure out the best way you could contact me. Okay, let's move along. A nice little sunset here. One of the cool things about DLSS is that it's making our water look a little bit better. Like that's kind of been the big struggle for us. It's kind of cool. You can see the God rays here coming through the things and the light flowing through the backside of the water. It's kind of cool. I have to check the settings on this. This is kind of a cool time to fly through here. Is there a rough idea of the system requirements needed to run the game? No. I don't know. I think ideally a video card that has RTX support would be a good place to start. What hardware am I running currently? I have a NVIDIA 4060 is what I'm running right now. So everybody's asking, what's the release date? I wish I knew. I'm really hoping it gets shipped this year. I think everybody on the project sort of needs this to ship this year. But I mean, I don't know. You're watching it. You know, you can watch all the streams and you can watch it be built and you can watch the progress. And it's not like I have a magic, crystal ball that tells me when everything is going to be done. The water actually looks really good with DLSS turned on. I don't think we have the ray reconstruction on right now, but I need to get the panel in. Somebody's asking about the optimization of the game. We've talked about this in other streams. It's sort of a complicated topic. I think that there's a bad Unreal has a bad reputation for games running well. I think because a lot of people make games out of Blueprint in Unreal, and Unreal has two ways to make a game inside of it: C++ and Blueprint. And the Blueprint is very, very, very slow, and C++ is like very, very, very fast, like about the fastest way that, the most efficient way that you could, most optimized way you could make a game. So we're developing everything in C++, and the game really runs great so far. Like, this is inside the editor, but if we do a standalone build, on my machine the game gets 70, 80 frames per second with all of this turned on. So I have a 4060 is a very decent video card to have, and I have a really high powered CPU and a lot of RAM. like I have a game development computer. So, but the GPU is really kind of the core thing that's going to make a difference. Somebody's saying here, any ETA on the, let me make sure I didn't miss any questions. Any ETA on the Kickstarter going live? No, but we're getting close. The zombie is almost, there's a couple things that need to go in before the Kickstarter video, and one of them is the zombie, and the zombie is making lots of really good progress. I think it's like we're on our way to it being done. So the zombie has to go in, and then some environmental effects, and then we have to cut our trailer for the Kickstarter, and then that's kind of when we'll release things. This is a weird formation here. It's interesting. So I'm hoping soon. I was hoping we would get to the May. I was hoping in May we would be able to do this, but it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. Do you have any idea how much the game is going to cost on release? Every time I get this question, I always ask it back to you. What would you like? What would you feel the game is worth paying for? I guess. Somebody's saying here, asking here if a 3060 would be right. I was playing this before on a 30. I have another computer here with a 3060. 3060 is not going to be is going to work fine. 3060 definitely supports RTX, and like we don't have outrageous VRAM needs or anything. So. Somebody's asking if we are going to add FSR for GPUs that don't support DLSS. I don't know what the fallback is. The fallback might be, I think we were using TSA before that. So we would probably fall back to that, is my guess. These are great questions, but really the min spec we don't like. What happens is we're going to build the game in a way where it looks beautiful, and then when we release it, we'll figure out how to fall back from there. Somebody's asking about a 2070. I don't know if a 2070 supports RTX. If it does, there was a big leap for RTX, and I don't remember at what generation the video cards were. Oh, look, and I accidentally stumbled onto a feature here, which is funny. This is our feature system where we can put your creations in the game, and this is it's funny. I just randomly landmark. I just randomly ran into a landmark. Yeah, so somebody's saying here, I think that's actually true. Anything below a 20th generation card doesn't support RTX. So I think that that would probably end up being our min. See, I always see there's like two different things. There's like the minimum hardware that runs the game as it's supposed to run, and then there's like the absolute minimum that will run the game even if it doesn't look like it normally does. So I think that the game will, anything over, I shouldn't say this stuff without knowing. My guess is that anything over like a 20 series card probably would look exactly like we intended, and anything lower than that, you're probably going to start making compromises. Somebody's asking about new biomes, and I don't know if anybody saw like the caves and the pyramids, the tombs and the pyramids, and I'm probably going to do more with that. I'm going to put in, there's tombs in the desert, there's going to be underground dungeons, and then I think I'm going to have ice caves, like ice dungeons too, in the Arctic. Are there any new creatures or monsters? So far, all the creatures are stand-in right now. In fact, I could drop, make an old zombie appear here. I would say that there probably is definitely going to be new monsters in the game. Like I already have some planned. I already have plans for the things that are going in. I guess I should probably land on the ground and let these guys fight me for real. But these are the old zombies. We're replacing these. It's a cool silhouetted old zombie. How did CastleMiner come to be? Beating Mojang to the punch on the Xbox. Played a ton on the 360 before or after Minecraft. The digital DNA robot would be a funny boss. Yeah, I've thought about that before. I've thought about making it so that when I come into the game, I come into as the digital DNA robot. I have a 3D asset for that. How did CastleMiner come to be? We were doing Xbox games at the time. And that's actually an interesting story. Is that I went to an interview at Microsoft, and the person that I was interviewing with somebody who had started the Xbox indie game system, and what they said to me was that they liked indie games because people would buy them and play them for a short period of time and buy other things. And when they did that, I thought in my head that, wow, the day that somebody ships Minecraft on the Xbox for $1 will be the day that it will fall apart for them, because they'll buy this and they'll play it for hours and hours and hours instead of buying more stuff on the Xbox. So, okay, before we go any further, somebody's asking about weather, and I guess you guys have not seen the other streams, because weather is like a major part of the game now, and I can just throw in. I have it turned off for these streams, but like I can, throw like a thunderstorm in here, and there'll be definitely weather in the games. You can let the sun come up while there's a weather storm going on. There's probably some cool shots there. Looking at the wet sand, like the whole lightning storms with the wet sand. So anyways, I came back to my friends and I thought, I said, man, the day somebody makes Minecraft on the Xbox is like the day that, this is over with. And at the time period, it seemed like too big of a project for the little games that were on the Xbox. But then Fortress Craft came out and sold more than any other XBLIG, period. And then I said, to my friends, like, hey, there's an opportunity here. Let's make one of these things. And we made it. But then afterwards, I was, wanted to make something, something cooler than that. And I thought about focusing on combat. And that's when we came out with CastleMiner Z. CastleMiner Z came out on the Xbox a full, I think, 18 months. It was like a year and a half before Minecraft came out on the Xbox. I don't know why it took them so long to bring Minecraft to the Xbox. But even after Minecraft shipped on the Xbox, I think our sales actually increased. So I always saw it as like a side-by-side product, like not something that replaced or competed with it. Like I figured if people liked Minecraft, this is something they would like. So our sales actually went up after Minecraft came to the Xbox. I think part of that was that we were a recommended title to Minecraft. So if you liked Minecraft, it would recommend our game. But our game seemed to actually sell better after Minecraft came out on the Xbox. Somebody's telling me there's the Q&A has some typos. I'd love to know more about those. Give me Yeah, like please point them out to me. I threw that together very quickly so that we wouldn't have so many of the same streams over and over again. But that's basically the story of where it came from. I had a vision of the game as being like a 3D Terraria, but the fans kind of wanted something different. Let's bring the daytime in here. So we spent several years giving the fans like sort of exactly what they wanted. Let me throw in some throw in a blizzard here. Where is it? Yeah, it's blizzard. Will there be major events happening? That's a good idea. I don't have plans for that right now. Will we see you and the others on the team in future lobbies? I don't know if you mean here in the streams or you mean playing the game. Like usually we all play the games. Where will it be released? The game will first come out on Steam, definitely. And if it's received well on Steam, you can see the snow accumulating out here. If the game is released well, does well on Steam, then we can look at bringing it to other platforms. I would like it to be everywhere, and I would definitely like it to be on the Xbox. But the problem is that Microsoft has to approve it for the Xbox. And we have to sort of be successful enough on Steam to make that case. How much is it going to cost? I think we covered that already. I always keep putting that question back to you. I've ever tried breaking the blocks with the snow on them. That's kind of cool. What is my personal favorite biome? I've always liked the snow biome. I kind of like the snow biome myself. I always like the transitions. I always thought the transitions through the biome. This is actually one of my favorite biomes here, the lagoon. And one of the things I always wanted in here was water. And I can't release. There we go. Let's go back to partly cloudy skies. But we finally got the water in the lagoon, the flowing water and the standing water, which is cool. I've spent a lot of time working on this one in particular. Somebody asked, would our previous success on Xbox not give us a leg up? And I have to be really careful how I answer this, but in the past, the best way to say it is Microsoft has not been a big fan of us. They perceive the Xbox system a lot different than you would imagine, I guess, and they've been relatively difficult to work with in the past. We spent years and years trying to get a XBLIG contract or an XBLA contract, and we were never able to get one from them. And at one point, I had a sit-down meeting with the president of Warner Brothers to do a game for them. And one of the first things that he said to me was that, well, Microsoft should be dying to work with you, because you're so successful on their platform. And I laughed and I said, no, it's like the opposite. They don't really want to work with me. But that was a long time ago, and I haven't shipped a game through their ID program yet, so maybe things will be different. I had this story where my wife at the time was at a fundraiser, and she ran into somebody in that group and was like, "Oh, my husband is the guy that made this game or whatever." And the guy was like, "Yeah, we know him. Everybody knows him." So the Microsoft seemed to have a much different perception of me than you would imagine for some reason, which I don't really understand. This is actually a really good question. I remember the game being 80 Microsoft points in the day. It was like $1. How did you manage to make it so cheap despite development costs? This is actually a really, really good question, and I'm going to take some time to answer it. So the first thing you have to understand is that the Xbox game system was broken. And I mean this in the sense of the way that they calculated pricing and the way that volume worked on that system was like fundamentally flawed. So what would happen on that Xbox system is that the best-selling games ended up in a dashboard rotator that would get the most traction. And if you were in that dashboard rotator of the best-selling games, then you would sustain enough sales on those games to stay in that list the next day. They were calculated every single day. But the problem is that they weren't weighted by, it was only numbers of games, not dollars. So if you had released, there was only 3 price points, $1, $3, and $5, which kind of sucked by itself. And if you sold a game that was selling good for $5 and you stood next to a game that was $1, they would only calculate the number of sales. So the $1 game would be more likely to stay on the list and get sales for the next day, where the $5 game might drop off and then be invisible after the system. And staying on that list was, in fact, I'm going to put myself, while I explain this, staying on that list was sort of everything. So what I learned from doing my statistics in the very first game, because the first question is, how did we do it for so cheap? Well, it wasn't. We had just done a lot of games up to that point which had made money, which allowed us to do it. So we weren't, there was less risk involved. So we had made a bunch of other games, and I learned that basically $1 games sold a certain amount of money, and $5 games, it was almost like divided by 5, the number of sales that you would get. But $3 games were actually like the peak. You would almost get like double what you would for $1 games. So initially when CastleMiner Z shipped, we shipped at $3, which was kind of an unusual thing for that system, because I knew we could sustain the volume that we needed to stay on that list with the $3 price point. But eventually we dropped back down to $1. But that allowed us to stay at the very top of the best-selling list, which gave us nightly sales, and the game stayed at the top of the best-selling list from the time it shipped in like 2011 all the way to when the system closed in 2015. It was the best-selling game there was, which kept selling sustained sales. But if the system worked in a better way, where they essentially multiplied the amount of money you were making by your volume and then use that to calculate the list, everybody would have been able to sell $3 to $5 games on that system versus $1 games. But because of the way that system was set up, they kind of forced everybody into a $1 price point, which is fine, because the way that we made up for it was that lots and lots and lots of people made the game. So you had to make a game that's sort of like everybody on the Xbox wanted to play, instead of like a little niche-y thing. So that's basically the story. The price is, Emma's asking if the price is undecided. It is undecided. Are we ever going to go back and add content to the original CastleMiner? We keep getting these answers. This game is supposed to replace the original CastleMiner game. I don't know if you mean the original CastleMiner Z or the original CastleMiner. But this is the whole reason we're doing this is so that we can continue to service this game on a modern engine. So it is very unlikely that we would add content to the old game after making a new game that we want to add content to. We would definitely add content to the new game. Somebody says here that Microsoft didn't like us because we were a direct competitor for Minecraft. I think there was some element to that in there, especially once they bought Minecraft and brought it on the Xbox. I think that they could have handled it in a different way. They always could have bought us. We would have been cheaper than Minecraft, but it was. But we tried. We pitched them for. I always wanted to do an XBLA game. We pitched them for that, and we were turned down. I think I talked to a high level person in that group at one point directly, and he said, "Hey, if we wanted people to make these games for us, we could find someone better than you to do it." It was literally what they told me. Yeah, I've never felt like a first class citizen on the Xbox, even though I think this is a notable historical title in relation to it. And I don't know. I've never really had I haven't. It's been a long time since I have had a conversation with anybody in that group. Somebody's talking about CastleMiner was a competitor on indie games after Minecraft. I have a good relationship with him and the Fortresscraft guy. One of the highlights of the whole thing was meeting that guy. He's from New Zealand, and I don't remember his name. I don't want to get it wrong. But we met at a convention at one point. I was really happy to get to see him in person. We've helped each other out over time. I always saw the three games as being different. There was Fortresscraft, which is also going to be remastered in Q4 2025. I want to do a shout out to Fortresscraft, DJ Arcus. That one's coming too. Fortresscraft was an unbelievably good building game. Our game was focused on combat, and CastleMiner was probably the closest Minecraft. If there was a game that was close to Minecraft, it was CastleMiner. And they were all good games. They're all good games. I have a lot of respect for all of those developers. But I don't know. I don't know that we were. I never really felt like we were real competition for each other. Everybody did well there, and I respect those guys a lot. Somebody's asking if we're planning on having the game playable in the Steam Deck. I don't really know much about the hardware specs of the Steam Deck, but I mean, yeah, that would be great if it could. What are your plans with gunsmithing? We are definitely not going to... I would love to do a whole deep thing on gunsmithing, but it's not something that we can do for our first release. It'll be something that happens post-release. And again, this depends on you, right, to go and sign up on the wish lists and help us be successful on Steam so that we can continue to add updates. If Xbox doesn't work out, would we try PlayStation? I would love it to come to both Xbox and PlayStation. To be honest, Sony has been really great to us over the years. I never had the opportunity of posting something on Sony, but Sony was interested in buying the company at one point. It's like the opposite of Microsoft. They wanted us to do stuff on the PlayStation, and unfortunately the game, because of just practical reasons, I was never able to do it. But Sony was... very excited about working with us. So I think it's much more likely that we would run into problems on the Xbox than we would on Sony. And since one of the reasons we're doing this here is that we have an engine that lets us hit all of these different targets at the same time, where we weren't able to do that with the original CastleMiner. So this is one of the reasons that we're redoing the whole thing, is so that we're on a engine that lets us be on all these different platforms, because our old engine didn't allow that. But Sony seemed to be very friendly towards independent developers. The history of Microsoft building that program, I've heard all the inside stories. The history of Microsoft building that indie service on the Xbox was controversial at the time internally. That there was a lot of people at Microsoft that did not want that indie system to be on the Xbox, and this is one of the reasons it was so walled off was because there was a lot of internal fighting just to get that. And to me, I mean, I really appreciate the people that, because it was life-changing for me, the people that really went to bat to make it so that, you know, the indie place. And you have to realize that this happened probably around 2006 or so. It was in a time period like even before the iPhone store existed. So like the people who set up that indie system on the Xbox were real visionaries for the game industry. What was going on at the time in that time period, which was about 20 years ago, was that casual games were becoming a successful thing. Excuse me. Casual games were becoming a successful thing, and Microsoft had an internal studio that was making casual games, and they were worried that if they opened up the Xbox to external developers, that little indie studios would compete with their internal casual games, which is such a ridiculous and protectionist kind of way to think about it. They didn't want to compete with indies. But 2008, 2009 is like sort of like the beginning of like the indie revolution, where sort of anything interesting was coming from indies at all. And it was cool to see that. It was cool to see the world change into a way where indies could actually make games without having to worry about what they, whether companies wanted you on their platforms or not. Will world generation work like OG CastleMiner Z or something like Minecraft? I don't really understand that question because I don't think that there's a lot of difference between the world generation between us and Minecraft. Somebody said I love the indie game section of the Xbox. I think that was one of the coolest eras in gaming ever. Like I think that there were so many things on that system that were done right. I think on accident a lot. But it was such a great system and such a great place to ship games. Like it was. I loved it. It was some of the most rewarding and fun work that I had ever done in my life. And it's sad. I really miss it. Somebody's bringing up the title of thing has to do with alpha testers. Well, one of the things I was saying was that I'm going to revisit this for a second. Is that we have saving and loading in the game, and we would like to get an early version of the game, a very very early version of the game, into the hands of streamers. So if there are streamers that have a significant following that want to stream the game at this point, we would like to work with you to allow you to do that so you could continue to stream as the game is getting developed. Somebody said here the indie game avatar system was the peak of the indie game. Yeah, I agree with you. I thought the avatar system was such a cool thing, and there were so many rules about using their avatars. They made it so difficult for you to use their avatars for anything interesting. And I just thought, it was one of the first things I saw. As soon as I saw the avatar system, I said, wow, this is really cool. Like, people are spending a lot of money on their avatars. Why can't they do anything like cool with them? So we made all these cool games, like Avatar Laser Wars. Like, this is one that everybody wants to see come back. Is Avatar Laser Wars was a lot of or Avatar Warfare was our first-person shooters with the games. Somebody said here that the indie section was great. It allowed for so many creative and experimental games. I agree with it. There was just so many cool games on that indie section. A lot of them, unfortunately, because of the way that system worked, didn't get enough exposure as they should have. But it was cool that there was a place for them to go, because a lot of the games were like really, really cool on that system. It was so fun to watch them come out every single day. Like, we would look at the system every day. and I just think it was like it was like peak gaming history. Like I think that it was such a cool system, and I think it's sad that I think people. It's been long enough now where I think there's probably a lot of people around that just don't know. Like just don't even remember what that was like. Somebody said here it was great for low-income families or kids that had affordable. That's one of the things I thought was really cool. It was so accessible. Like the idea, I always said that like the whole thing about being successful there was to give people like an overwhelming amount of value for $1. You know, like I saw leading up to this, I saw a cartoon at one point where they were talking about how people would like, pay for like a $5 coffee, but not want to pay for like a $1 app. And I just thought like, if you start thinking of the at the time I grew up in the 1980s where we had arcade games and everything was a quarter. So the idea was that for a quarter you got a pretty good experience for 5 minutes or so, and realizing that the value of the quarter was pretty much $1 around that time period, that it reminded me of arcades at the time, where it's like, hey, we had a fun little experience, and for $1 you could, play for an hour or two, play something that was kind of cool. Did I make Giant Hunter? No, I did not. There was an era where that type of game was very popular, and we looked into doing something like that at that time period. There was a lot of games I didn't get to make on the Xbox, and I would still love to make them. I was about to sneeze. Somebody's saying they want a lot of melee weapons in the game. I think that would actually be kind of cool. Don't have any immediate plans for that right now. We are still trying to figure out how weapons are going to go into the game. And once we figure that out, we figure how hard or how difficult it is to put new weapons in the game. Let's go back here. Somebody says that they're wondering if CMZ will feature seeds. We've always had seeds. It's always worked like that. It still works like that. CastleMiner Z, the worlds were different every time that you loaded a new world. The new world doesn't work any different. For testing, we use the same world over and over again just because. Somebody's asking if there's going to be gore. There's never really been a lot of gore in our games. I don't feel like it adds very much. If we were doing a game where like a really true horror game where it added something. It also these days changes the rating on your games, so I don't know if there's a lot of value to doing it. Somebody asked where digital DNA came from, and this is a kind of a crazy story. I was working with somebody at the time that was creating a technology that he had called digital DNA, and while I was doing that, I was setting up one of my first Xboxes, and I picked it as my gamer tag, just because it was, in my mind. I had been talking to somebody at work at the time. I thought it was kind of a cool name, and I just put that in there. And when we did the Xbox Indie system, your gamer tag turned into the name that you published your game under. It was just the way that the system worked. So all the games I published just happened to be under my gamer tag name. So I just kind of went with it, and then branded with that robot, and I kind of liked it, and I actually don't have any regrets of that. I think that it's been a kind of a cool thing. Will you be a skin in the game? I'm assuming you mean the robot and not actually me. The thing I always wanted to do is I always wanted to either have a robot boss or have it so that when I came into the game and it was actually me, that I would come in as the robot. And the problem is with that stuff is that you never really have the time to implement that stuff. Is there going to be a view bobbing toggle so that the weapons and tools don't swing around when you're moving? I don't know if this is a problem that you're seeing in the new game or if this is a problem that you perceived in the old game. we spend a real lot of time working on that. Like that's one of the things that came from our first person shooters, like the experience of like holding the weapons. I think is one of the big differences of this game versus other games that are like this. Are there going to be animals? No, there will most likely not be animals. Somebody's saying here that they appreciate me being here and having a passion for doing. Definitely have a passion for doing this. I mean, if you've watched the streams, I don't think anybody does this job without a love for the craft. I think for me, this is a big part of it is just the love for the craft of doing this. So I'm happy that I could do it, and everybody on the team is kind of the same in that way, and we would all love to continue doing this for you. So we're really hoping that you can allow us to do this. And a lot of this has to do with how well we are received on Steam. Somebody's asking, recently did a series of CastleMiner with 4 friends, will they be multiplayer again? Yeah, absolutely. We would never, ever ship the game without multiplayer. We're in the middle of making this right now. I think it's the multiplayer is sort of like core to the experience. Somebody's saying that there should be a Tom Villager that offers Diet Cokes. I think that would be pretty accurate, except I'd probably keep the Diet Cokes for myself before offering them. Actually, that's not true. I have so many Diet Cokes just in my house around me. When people come over, they have unlimited Diet Cokes, but I don't know anybody who drinks as much Diet Coke as me. I really should stop. I think it's probably going to be. I'm really conscious of my health, but the Diet Cokes are the one place where I just kind of go nuts. I can come in as a helpful guide for new players. I kind of like that. Are all the monsters from the OG CastleMiner returning? As far as I know, yes. Will there be monsters added? Probably, yes. How did I get into game development? This is an interesting question. I was born in the 1970s, and computers were like not a very big thing back then. But my father was really into video games, and he was really into computers. So he taught me how to program computers when I was 5 years old, and I just kind of happened to be naturally talented in it. So I had made my first game when I was 6 or 7 years old, and then I made all these things through high school, and you have to realize that this time period there was no internet, so it was kind of hard to just learn things, and that was challenging back then. But by the time I graduated college, I had made a bunch of games already, and the gaming industry kind of found me. And I feel fortunate. I feel like I was somebody that was sort of put on earth to do something. I started at a very early age. I don't remember a time period in my life where I couldn't program or I wasn't making games. I had been doing it literally since I was 5 years old. And I think it's rare to find the thing that you're good at so early in your life and then just to go and do it forever. So, and I just feel fortunate. For me, I worked in the AAA game industry for a while, and I kind of hated it. And the indie thing was such a magical time period for me because it allowed me to do my craft and do it like sort of unimpeded without needing permission from anywhere else to do it. Can you rework the aliens and the demons? I feel like they need special attacks. We're reworking everything, so I don't think that you should assume that anything would work the way it did before. How many devs are working on CastleMiner Z? There's 4 of us right now. Try some Diet Dr. Pepper. I had a Diet Dr. Pepper the other day. I like it. I love Dr. Pepper. But Diet Cokes are the only thing that I can just drink one after another. Like if I drank 2 Diet Dr. Peppers back to back, I would be like having to break it up with something. Everybody wants to see me personally as a character in the game. I think that would be a little bit embarrassing, I think. Will there be randomly generated places with friendly NPCs? This is a lot. I love when people Give like very, very specific sets of like answers. Like, will there be locations that have green buildings with blue people inside that talk about cookies? Like, I think the initial version of the game will be very similar to the one that you play on the Xbox, and then we will grow it out from that point to see where things make sense. Will crossplay be eventually available? And where the far lands be I don't really know what you're referring to as the far lands. I have no idea how crossplay works, so I if I told you anything right now, it would be a lie. Is there any Easter eggs in the original CastleMiner that went noticed? The biggest Easter egg in the original CastleMiner Z was Lantern Land. We're working on a video for that. Lantern Land was a complete random thing that happened. It's sort of remarkable. The story of it is actually really remarkable to me because it's completely random, but it was so, like, it's a whole bunch of random things that came together into something that's really sort of relevant and impressive. And it could have been like just a crash, but it turned out to be this like really kind of like bizarre, interesting biome. I always thought it was interesting that Lantern Land is like a big wall, and it happened in the, again, this is all random. Nobody ever programmed this. Lantern Land was a big wall, and it happened in the snowy lands far away. And at the time period, Game of Thrones was very, very popular. So this idea that there was like a wall in the snowy mountains was something that like it came right out of Game of Thrones, but totally random. Like, it was just totally a random thing that happened. Somebody wants to ride. Will there be? I like how it's phrased. Not like I have a crazy idea. It's like, will there be other planets you can go to while riding dragons and be able to go into hyperdrive? Like, this is. I think that might have been a joke, but it's like the will there be is the funny part to me, that this is phrased will there be. Will there be glass blocks? There's some rendering issues. Like, this is the transparent materials are something I wanted, but there's rendering and lighting issues we have with them, so I don't really know about that. Somebody wants a roadmap for new. I love that. They want a roadmap for new enemies. Yeah, I don't have a roadmap for them. I have a couple ideas. The crazy kind of stuff is really hilarious. I'm reading all these. Somebody said here, will there be solar flares every 7? Will the sun do a solar flare every day after killing dragons and reloading at the same time, causing a volcano to explode? Like, it's like saying, will there be multiplayer? To me, is the way it's phrased. Like, will there be multiplayer? Will there be solar flares? Yeah, everybody had different names for. Somebody's talking here about the place at the right before hell where the ores become highly available. I always called that the descent. I think it's actually in our code as that, because it was the descent down into hell. So that's the official name I'm going for. That area is a lot, because the world is very, very deep now. That area is like very, very long now. It's one of the places that are kind of significantly different. And also in the streams, we did a lot of work on that biome while we were working on the biome, so it's put together a little bit better now. Thank you so much for the donation. Appreciate that. Everything goes to the game. Are you still doing the castle idea? Yeah, we wanted people to build castles for us. Was one of the things we were hoping people would submit. I'm not sure what happened with I have to go check with the requests were on the community Discord. Well, there'll be non-cube shaped blocks, stairs and gates. There'll be models, but not. Another donation. Thank you. We need window skeletons. Be crazy. Thank you. Did you originally intend for people to get to descend and reach hell? Yeah, absolutely. Like that was in the design of the game. Going further than that, we weren't really sure what people would do, and we knew there would be problems. This is why the Lantern Land was such an interesting thing, because when we put the game together, we knew that there would be problems out there, and we kind of just thought you would just kind of crash or something, and we just said, well, let's just leave it and see what happens. And we were so shocked when we saw videos of Lantern Land, because I actually didn't believe it. When I first saw it, I was like, this has got to be fake, or somebody modded the game or something, because there's no way that this just randomly added in the game. And it was a single line of code that created Lantern Land. And basically what it did is it, over a certain distance, it replicated the what was in 0, which was the tower. So a big long thing of bedrock with a light at the top, a lantern. It just made everything after a certain point be this, wherever it was at. So whatever was at 0 was what got replicated. But because we had happened to put the tower there, the tower is what got replicated everywhere. And what was interesting is that the lantern was like like here it is, this part of the central branding for the game. And the fact that the branding for the game was what got replicated out there was just completely random. Will zombies still be able to destroy blocks? Yes. That makes them more dangerous, which is why we put it in there in the beginning. Will there be NPCs that hand-deliver Diet Coke and beef Wellington? Of course there will be. Will we add a new biome? There's been a lot of stuff added under the ground, but right now I have plans for new biomes, and we're probably not going to ship with a actual new biome. Bought an Xbox 360 just to play CastleMiner, and they found out they shut the store. Yeah, when they shut the store down, they made it impossible to play those old games. I have an old Xbox that has all my games loaded, but I can't even play my own games. Is there an achievement for not crashing when using a laser drill? Yeah, the laser drill will not be in the new version of the game. Yeah, there is I think I put somebody's asking like how the castle submissions go in. There's on the voxel, I have it, it's actually the link on the top of the wherever side you're looking at this from. The link up there explains how to download the software to make the submissions and submit it to us. Somebody asking about the player cap per lobby. I don't know. We don't know yet. What is the game's tick rate? That is a very, very specific question. Usually in games, the tick rate is one of two things. It's either a fixed rate. I'm hoping that I'm answering the question that you're asking for. The tick rate is either based on a per frame thing, or it's a fixed time interval, which is usually like a 60th of a second, if it's not tied to frame rate. I actually don't know. There's usually a choice in the engine, and I don't actually know how it's set right now. This is such a complicated issue and there's a lot of disagreement between game developers about how this should work. Like in general, the way I always like to have it work on our games was the tick rate was the frame rate, and if it went longer than a certain amount of time, it was subdivided. But one of the settings, I know we're in Unity, was that you could fix the tick rate on things. And there's a whole bunch of technical reasons to get into why doing it. I don't really know how it affects gameplay, though. Oh, somebody's saying that on the original CastleMiner, the mouse sensitivity was affected by FPS. That could actually be true. the mouse stuff was kind of like shoehorned in because the game was originally a console game. Will there be a CastleMiner Warfare PvP mode in CastleMiner? That's a good idea. It's possible. Probably not when we roll out originally, though. Do I have a good grasp on when the game will be released? No, I do. I do not have a good grasp. We tend to work very efficiently, but there's a big list of things that would need to be done, and sitting down and trying to estimate exactly when it would be done would just take more time away from making the thing, and not really affect many of our decisions very much. I guess the biggest decision, though, that will change things is the Kickstarter. Like, if the Kickstarter gets funded, then we'll be able to do a bunch of cool things. But if the Kickstarter doesn't get funded, we'll have to pull everything back and find cheap ways of getting things done. So, like, it's a pivot. The Kickstarter funding will be like a pivotal moment for us. So when that goes live, we will definitely need the support of everybody to get that. Will there be a CastleMiner movie with Jack Black? Yeah, sure. We got one in the works already. Everybody's arguing about friendly NPCs. Regardless of the argument, I can guarantee you we're not going to have friendly NPCs when the game ships initially. So we can continue to argue about that for a long time. A good place to do that would be the Steam forums. We are on the Steam forums for the game. In fact, I could put the link up here. We're using for a lot of the discussion about features. So if you want to argue with people about friendly NPCs, we can do this for months leading up to the game's release on the Steam forums. Let me post a link to that there. I can pin that. And when you're there, you can also wish list the game, because that would be a good thing for you to do. Somebody's asking, this is a very good question. I'm just not prepared to answer it. They're asking what kind of funding is the Kickstarter looking to raise. I have a lot of, I'm taking in a lot of information on this to try to find out what that appropriate number is. The problem with it is there's a number that's the right number for us to make the game, and then there's a number that's like probably more practical. So it has to be both. Like if we underfund ourselves, then doing the Kickstarter won't make any difference. Like, we'll succeed at the Kickstarter but still not be able to make the game. And if we ask for too much money, then we just might not get it. So I have been doing a lot of research and trying to figure out exactly what that number should be. And I'm afraid to throw a number out here without really having a good answer for that. Hey, thank you so much for the donation. Can't believe how long it's been since the original game released. This game will be definitely successful. Thank you for bringing it back. Thanks you for coming here. Definitely thank you for the donation. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. Somebody's saying they imagine a hunger system in CMZ where you need Diet Cokes and beef Wellington to survive. This is my hunger system. This is like I have to go to the gym, eat a beef Wellington, come home, eat a beef Wellington, Diet Coke. I got like 2 meters, beef Wellington meter and Diet Coke meter. I actually haven't made a beef Wellington in a while. Everybody wants a beef Wellington stream. I haven't made one in a while. I should do that at some point. I don't know if everybody's seen the joke, but it's like I posted a lot of beef Wellington. I like to cook and had a lot of pickup on TikTok for doing food related art. And I have a bunch of posts about beef Wellingtons that I've made on my Instagram. Any updates on the dragons? No. We are still trying to figure out what the dragons will look like. So I don't have any info. Somebody's asking if there's a temperature mechanic in the game. There's going to be some temperature mechanic in the game. We're tracking temperature right now in different areas. We used to have it. Oh, it is on the screen. Yeah, you can see here. Let me go back to here. Like the temperature is on the screen here, and we're tracking it in different locations. I think it was snowing here, which is why it was warm. But if I go out to, I also have this turned off. I have the weather turned off, the thing that's managing the weather. But I think if I go out to the desert, the temperature, no, it's turned off right now. But there is a temperature mechanic in the game. Not exactly sure what I'm gonna do with it yet. Somebody's asking if to set up a Discord. There is a Discord for the game. If you visit any of our links, I think I gave this earlier in the stream. I'll give these other ones. We have a Discord, but the one that is really there is the community Discord channel. Like this, they've been around for longer than anything, and they've done a great job. They've done a great job running this channel. It's not my channel, it's theirs. We have our own, but this one is way more active. And I put a link to that there. I donate to a CMZ Kickstarter before I donate to charity. I appreciate that. Not going to shame you for that. There's a lot of questions about the mechanics of the Kickstarter. This is all making me nervous because I don't have answers for them. And I'm doing a lot of research with people that actually know a lot about this right now. But I'm afraid to throw out numbers because they would just be random numbers. But it is a big deal to us because right now everybody is like doing this, out of love, but also on the hopes that it will turn into something. And the Kickstarter, this is kind of a cool scene, so I'm gonna throw this back in. The Kickstarter, aside from showing us that, giving us some money to do cool things with the game, is also shows us that people are actually willing to pay for it. So it makes everybody more confident in working in the game. Somebody's now we're getting detailed questions about the temperature mechanics. Yeah, I just don't have the answers that you. Will bullets be simpler? I'm kind of curious about that. I don't think that the crafting of bullets is going to change. It's a good question. What kind of things is CMZ Resurrection hoping to do if they can meet their Kickstarter amount? So, like, for example, right now, one of the most expensive things that we're doing, aside from all the time that everybody's donating to this, is building the zombie, for example. We're building the zombie right now. It's all custom made. It's the most expensive thing that's gone into the game so far. It was something that we knew was important because it's, part of the key art for the game. But if we had Kickstarter money, we could do more custom work on things. So I guess that's one of the big differences with it. The other thing too is a lot of it might just end up being money for marketing, which might be helpful overall to us. Oh, somebody's asking if the weapons were inaccurate in the game. Since we're rebuilding all of that stuff, I am not sure. It's definitely not going to be the same as it was before. Somebody's saying, "How much do we need to fund the game?" They'll fund it all right now. If you're interested in doing that, if you're some baller that's gonna fund the game, I think wait for the Kickstarter and then just go all in, and we will make it worth it for you. Oh, somebody's saying they thought it was confusing because every gun took the previous materials. Like there was a ladder of materials, and that was kind of done for a reason, to form like an economy in the game. I actually think it was one of the things that we did relatively well, to be honest, because it gave you a reason to have lots of different materials. And there was always this problem because diamonds are really rare in the game, and bloodstone is very, very, very common. So the fact that the last tier of the game required you to have a rare material versus a common material actually made more sense to me. Somebody's thought about it. Have we thought about getting on Game Pass? It's funny, I have thought about that. I don't. It's something I'll need to look into. I have no idea how that works. Somebody's saying, is there going to be footprints in the snow in the stand when you walk? The same with the water. That would be kind of cool. We do not have that in right now. Flat worlds. Are loot blocks returning? No. We've talked about this in the other stream, is that there's a series of things that were done after the release on the PC, and a lot of those are not going to make it into this. This is going to be more true to the Xbox release. Can you salvage items once crafted? Yeah, again, there's a whole economy for that. Is there any possibility for vehicles? I would love that to have vehicles in the game, but I can almost guarantee that the initial version that we ship will not have that in it. Spawner blocks, we probably wouldn't have spawner blocks either. I think that was not part of the original Xbox release. The double jump. See, a lot of these things. There's a story behind this. There was another company that was doing updates for the game at some point, and they were doing a good job. But I want to go back to the truer Xbox version, which was the version that I had, and build out from there. So we're rounding up about an hour and a half here. I'm going to take the next couple questions. And then I'm going to head off here and start working on the game a little bit more. So let's... are there any new craftables planned or in the works? Yes, there is definitely craftables planned. You should add motorcycles to the game. Is there any type of character customization? This is one of the things that I should probably put the FAQ back up, since we're getting a lot of questions that are in the FAQ. Also, the character customization is something that we'll add after release. Let me find the FAQ so we don't get... A lot of people expressing their love for the game. I really appreciate that. This is why we're here. Somebody's asking about the game being modded. We have a bunch of different threads about this. I'd like to hear more about what people want for the ability to be modded. There's no way to sign up for the alpha release. The alpha release is going to go out to a hand-selected group of people. We're looking for streamers for the alpha release. Like reach out to us on Discord or something like that if you are interested. Hey, appreciate the donation. Thank you so much. Stay motivated. The game is going to be great. I appreciate this. All the donations go into making the game. So, are we bringing the Heart UI back like the GUI? No, probably not. The UI is going to be redone. Somebody said add an animation where trees fall over. It's a cool idea. Will we have rain flood certain areas of the map? Probably not, but that is a cool idea. Okay, I appreciate everybody coming by. This was a great stream. We'll probably do another one of these next week, and there'll probably be at least one other dev stream in between. I appreciate everybody coming by and checking out the progress. We're excited to bring this to you. Thank you very much.